The big story of the last couple days is that special counsel John Durham, who has been investigating whether Trump had something to do with Russia or where some spying came from and did Hillary have anything to do with it, he dropped his report a couple days ago. So I'm going to read a bunch here from the Daily Wire. We tried to condense it in a way to just give you enough to get the bare bones facts out of this, and then we'll talk about it in just a sec. From the Daily Wire, special counsel John Durham, who is investigating the origins of the FBI's Trump-Russia probe, says in a new court filing that lawyers for the Clinton campaign paid a tech company to infiltrate servers belonging to Trump Tower and the Trump White House in an effort to establish a narrative linking President Donald Trump to Russia. The revelation was made in a court filing late last week that centered on potential conflicts of interest connected to the representation of former Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman, who has been charged with allegedly lying to the FBI. The indictment against Sussman says he told then FBI General Counsel James Baker in September of 2016, less than 2 months before the 2016 presidential election, that he was not doing work for any client when he requested and held a meeting in which he presented purported data and white papers that allegedly demonstrated a covert communications channel between the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank, which has ties to the Kremlin. But Durham's filing on February 11th in a section titled Factual Background reveals that Sussman had assembled and conveyed the allegations to the FBI on behalf of at least 2 specific clients, including a tech executive and a US-based internet company and the Clinton campaign. The filing says that during the summer of 2016, the tech executive worked with Sussman, an investigative firm retained by a law firm on behalf of the Clinton campaign, and employees at tech companies to gather data. The basic bones of it are that Durham now is alleging that they have evidence that the Clinton campaign, in essence, was spying on computers that were at Trump Tower 2 months before the election. And then it sounds like it leaks into once Trump actually was president. So let's continue from the Daily Wire. President Joe Biden's campaign also hired the tech firm that former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton allegedly hired to spy on former President Donald Trump and link him to Russia. The Biden campaign paid nearly $20,000 to a cybersecurity firm at the center of special counsel John Durham's investigation into the origins of the Trump-Russia probe. The campaign paid Neustar Information Services in 2020 for accounting and compliance work, according to Federal Election Commission records. According to Durham, Neustar's chief technology officer, Rodney Joffe, accessed sensitive web traffic data that the company maintained on behalf of the White House Executive Office in order to collect derogatory information about Donald Trump. Joffe allegedly provided the information to Hillary Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman, who in turn gave it to the CIA during a meeting in February 2017. Durham charged Sussman in September with lying to the FBI about his investigation of Trump. As Ross noted in the report, the fact that Biden paid the same firm during the 2020 presidential election also raises questions of whether or not the firm was paid for the same type of activity, namely whether Joffe continued snooping on Trump in the most recent election. Okay, I get it. It's a lot, but I think you can sort of see it sounds like, and the Durham Report will be analyzed. People are going to continue looking at it. It's going to be ignored by mainstream media. This is the type of thing where if we had a mainstream media that we could trust and the Durham Report was dropped, well, the mainstream media might cover it honestly and say, boy, we actually have covered it because we're fair and impartial and we've debunked these, 10 points here, or we found, 3 inconsistencies here, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, they're going to ignore it because it kind of makes Hillary look a bit guilty. So I think you sort of see that in what we laid out right there. Now we've got 2 clips. This is Karine Jean-Pierre and Jen Psaki. You know Jen Psaki. She is the White House press secretary. Karine Jean-Pierre is sort of her sidekick, or when Psaki is out for the afternoon or has a headache or just can't go to work, whatever it is, she jumps in there. Now they are actually being questioned about this, and surprise, surprise, they don't want to talk about it.
This news about the Durham investigation. president have any concerns about a candidate for president using computer experts to infiltrate computer systems of competing candidates, or even the president-elect, to use for the goal of creating a narrative? Is that something that...
That's something I can't speak to from this podium, so I refer you to the Department of Justice.
Is what was described in that report, monitoring internet traffic, is that spying?
Again, I can't speak to that report. I refer you to the Department of Justice.
Generally speaking, that would monitoring internet traffic...
Jackie, my answer is not going to change. I refer you to the Department of Justice. I can't speak to that from here.
There was an outside company with ties to the Clinton camp monitoring server data info on the executive office of the president through the Obama administration, possibly into the Trump administration. Do you know if there's still a system picking up server data on the EOP, and if not, when it stopped?
Again, I know you asked my colleague a few questions about this the other day, but I would point you any questions about this to the Department of Justice.
And then is what was described in the filing there, monitoring internet traffic, is that, generally speaking, would that be considered something along the lines of spying?
Again, I would point you to the Department of Justice. Go ahead.
Okay, so obviously they're not going to comment on this. It's interesting that they're referring people to the Department of Justice, because I guess if the Department of Justice starts getting asked questions about this, they might have to look into it, and they might find something that they might not like. So in essence, just to really in the most simplest terms, so if you're sitting at dinner tonight and someone's asking you about this, or did you hear about that nonsensical report? In essence, the Durham Report is saying that Hillary Clinton's campaign paid a firm to spy on the servers at Trump Tower when it was the office of the president-elect, and then potentially into the administration. And what now links this to the current administration is that the Biden campaign used the same firm in 2020. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know exactly what this fully means and that Hillary was absolutely aware and everything else. But now do you see how when we had 4 years of the media running around saying that Trump was compromised by the Russians and he was a Russian spy or a Russian asset, and that there were emails back and forth and blah, blah, blah. Do you think that maybe it had a little something to do with this? And does it seem a little bit weird that the Hillary Clinton campaign, whether she knew it or not, was paying a firm to spy on the president-elect? Are we allowed to do that here in the United States? That is exactly what Durham is laying out. He is saying that the campaign, the Hillary campaign, paid this firm to do that, and then flash forward 4 years, that the Biden campaign worked with this same firm. We do need to know about this, right? We honestly do need to know about this. Whether you fully believe it, whether that was sort of the genesis of how the media then decided to run around for 4 years calling, Trump a Russian spy and all that stuff, or not. It's we do need to know what happened here, because otherwise how can we ever have a transfer of power that's going to make sense, right? Are campaigns allowed to just spy on each other, set up, software on servers and all of those things?